Hi, Tamal. Good to see you again. Welcome back to the Business Standard Banking Show. So let's start with what you've talked about in your column this week on IDBI Bank. And you've said that there are challenges ahead of IDBI Bank and how it has gotten its act together, and you see some serious suitors for it in the coming days. Can you take us through what does the road ahead look like for IDBI Bank?
Well, structurally, the road ahead is this: it is going to be privatized. In a genuine sense of the term, because LIC taking over the majority stake is not privatization. So, as we speak, the technical bits are being examined, and at the next stage, we will see the financial bidders coming. All depends on Reserve Bank of India's approach. Who is the fit and proper? So there are names in the media. I'm not getting to that. I would like to believe the entire process should be over by December, the end of this year, and the government will continue to hold 15% stake after the dilution. But that 15% stake will be interpreted as a public stake. As far as health of the bank is concerned, I think it's coming up pretty well. On all parameters, you see it's well capitalized. Already its non-performing assets have come down dramatically. Indeed, gross non-performing assets is 6% plus, but net non-performing assets is less than 1%. Its PCR, provision coverage ratio, is in late 90s. Its CASA has improved dramatically. Its cost of funds have gone down. The asset mix that's between retail and corporate, which was the culprit for the bad loans, have been taken care of. Now it's more retail. Actually, it's a little more than it should have been. So I think bank is trying to bring down the retail a bit now to have a happy combination. Return on assets, if you look at IDBI, it's pretty good. I mean, better than many of its peers. So on all accounts, apart from the fact that it has gone good talent picked up from the market, its credit appraisal system has got better, underwriting system has got better. All these things, I think it augurs well for the bank, and I'm pretty confident that it would get some serious suitors. And by December, the entire process should get over. It's important in the sense, once the IDBI real privatization happens, then I would like to believe the government will be encouraged to bite the bullet for the privatization of two public sector banks, which it had committed in 2021. The budget document spoke about it, but nothing has happened as yet. So I think next year we'll see that.
It augurs well for the bank, but let's talk about SBI Bank. Now, I did see your tweet, and we saw so many stories being talked about SBI chairman's annual pay package. What did you think of it? It is too low compared to private, and that stark difference has caught a lot of attention.
You know, there are two ways of looking at it. One way of looking at it, it's pretty low. And why should it be? A bank chairman's salary, public sector bank chairman's salary, should be linked with a bureaucrat salary. Because that's what has happened. You know, in the IAS salary and the public sector bank salary are interlinked. Now, there are two different kind of jobs. Bureaucrat jobs are very different from the banker's job. And here is a banker who is handling 55 trillion plus assets. I mean, how could you give him such peanuts for that? Bankers are dealing with money, and that's not the case with SBI alone. I mean, it becomes very glaring because its asset size is too big. It's roughly little more than 1/5 of the Indian banking system, one of the top 50 banks globally. So it becomes more glaring. But this is true about all public sector banks, and much smaller private bank CEOs earn much higher. That's one side of the story. But if you look at the other side, if you see through a different prism, you will find that there are a lot of other facilities which typically a public sector bank chairman gets, which private sector bank CEOs don't get. I'm not talking about only house and car, etc. There are many more benefits. If you include all those benefits, if you allow them, and if you put up a structure monetizing all, probably it will be comparable. Even in some cases, public sector banks probably may end up getting more than counterpart in the private sector. So I think it needs to we need to have a more transparent way of deciding on the structuring the pays and parks, salary and parks of the public sector bank.
So as we are coming to the end of our chat, there is one important issue to talk to you about, and that is the RBI circular on the compromise settlements with willful defaulters. There's a lot of flack that this notification is getting. Can you take us through what has happened and what is your view of this?
Ruchika, I'm glad that you have asked the question. I think there's a lot of misconception about the interpretation of the RBI. Before that, what's the world of willful defaulters? As we speak, I think there are 15,778 willful defaulters as of December 2022, and the total money involved is 3.45 trillion. I repeat, 3.45 trillion. That's the TransUnion CIBIL data. For instance, State Bank of India has the highest number of willful defaulters, and also the quantum. It's 1,883 willful defaulters, and money involved is 79,000 crore plus. Next come PNB, which is roughly half of State Bank of India. So that's the willful defaulter story. Now, has RBI given a blank check to the banks to go and do a compromise settlement and give fresh money to willful defaulters? Absolutely not. I mean, first of all, this is an old circular. RBI has just aggregated all the circulars and they put together and come out in a new packaging form. So there is nothing new, and with responsibility I'm telling, there's nothing new about it. Apart from the fact that not only the banks, all the regulated entities, which means the cooperative banks as well as the NBFCs now have come on this. Second is this. First of all, it's nothing new. Second is this, it is talking about, it's not a blanket, okay, that you go and give money to every willful defaulter, even if it's after 5 years. It is left to the boards. The board will decide who to give and not to give. And wherever there are criminal cases, etc., I said you have to take cognition of that.
So thank you, Tamal, for clearing so many misconceptions, and rightly said, RBI circular is not a blanket okay, it is left to the boards. And just like you talked about the SBI chairperson's salary also, it cannot just be looked as a pay package. There is much, much more to it. And of course, as you talked about IDBI Bank, and we have read your column as well, that it is looking good for RBI, for IDBI, despite some challenges that remain. Thank you once again, Tamal, for joining us, and see you next week.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
I am the blue of the limitless sky. I am the inspiration that led success soar high. I will achieve, I will fly high. I am the I in SBI.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.